welcome to the Everyone Active podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jo.
Hello, I am your other host, Michelle.
Yay!
How are you?
I'm really good. We're back together.
Together again. What's that, Jason Donovan?
And now we're back together.
Let's not do that.
Sorry.
That's a whole different
Sorry,
podcast.
sorry.
We could do a medley podcast of different songs.
There is no way that we would have
Any
one
audience.
listener for
No.
more than 10 seconds if I start singing.
But
Yeah.
think of the outtakes on TikTok.
Okay.
We'd be a meme.
They would
We'd
have-
be a meme.
Gosh, they'd have a
I'd
field
like
day.
to be a meme.
Absolute field day. But Missy,
How
I
are
know
you?
you've been a little bit poorly.
I'm back now. I'm good.
But we've also been sending you around the country, like actually around the country.
I've been everywhere, and I'm going around the country more.
teaching
Aqua and Rejuvenate and Buggies and Bands.
Oh my goodness.
They wheel me out,
You've been over to Bristol.
wheel me back in. I've been to Bristol. I'm going to the Midlands in a few weeks. I'm going everywhere, but having a lovely time.
We've got you back in the podcast.
Yay! Nice to be here.
And luckily, because you kind of have to be here for this one.
Yes.
Because you are our expert, because today we are going to talk about EA Rejuvenate.
Yay!
So EA Rejuvenate is an Everyone Active class, and it's part of our Everyone Active series.
Yes.
And Michelle is our master trainer, creator,
Dear.
moderator
Yes,
of EA Rejuvenate.
I am.
So, can you, quick summary, what is EA Rejuvenate?
Okay, EA Rejuvenate is essentially bringing mindful movement to a fitness space. Do you like that?
Oh,
It's like I practiced it, isn't it? It's like you might teach it. I might have written the programme.
talk to me a little deeper. Mindful movement.
Yeah. So what we've established is that there's a certain cohort of people that come to our centres. Mm-hmm. We see them on the gym floor a lot, and probably people are going to be nodding when I say this, but we see them, they've gone and done their workout in the gym, and then they're over in the stretch area maybe.
Yep.
Using foam rollers, using Theraguns, using different bits of equipment, trying to release tension from their aching muscles.
Yes.
So we know there's a cohort of people that know they need to have this recovery and this injury prevention in their life, but they don't particularly want to go into a studio.
Okay.
So that was kind of the brief I was given, really, was to try and get this kind of movement for those people.
Yes.
And hence Rejuvenate was born.
Okay. And then it has grown
It's
from there.
grown a little bit, yes. So we've either got it as a class format or a gym floor format. So it goes into two different camps.
I love this. Can we talk about I'm going to take you to my comfort zone.
Go on.
Class format to start off with.
Yeah.
So if there was a dedicated EA Rejuvenate session,
Yeah.
what's the kit? How does it feel?
Yeah, okay.
How's it led?
So it's a 30-minute session. Mm-hmm. And kit-wise, you'll grab a yoga mat, yoga straps, and some lovely little hard, if you can't see what I'm doing, I'm making a ball shape, hard trigger point balls. So basically what we're doing is releasing our fascia.
Oh my goodness. What's fascia?
I'm glad you asked, Jo. Thanks for asking. So fascia surrounds all of our internal muscles, our organs, and it's kind of like, if you can imagine, when you have a chicken breast, this
Yes.
is how I describe it to people, and you peel the skin off the chicken breast, and you have that thin, see-through, sinewy bit, fascia.
That is our fascia.
Yeah.
So when we exercise and when we move, especially when we're doing any form of resistance training
Yeah.
or higher impact cardio training, we're working our musculoskeletal system. And
Absolutely.
We are theoretically tearing
Yeah.
our muscles in order to then build them and go again.
Yeah.
So Rejuvenate is designed to aid
Yeah.
that recovery
Yeah.
on to progress it, to take it to a bit of a deeper level.
So it's used for a number of reasons, to assist with people once they've worked out, so to assist with muscle injury, but also to have a preventative effect. So we're looking to get people into a place where they're not having to go off with injury because they're looking after themselves a little bit more. And I think that's interesting how fitness has, certainly classes have sort of changed people's perception, whereas we always used to be going, I want to go to somewhere I feel really beasted and that I can't do any more, which is great. But actually a lot of people's mindset now is that they want to come out and feel better about themselves. So we've kind of switched our focus a little bit more.
It's kind of taking more of a brain feel and a recovery feel, not just in for the movement.
Yeah,
feel.
definitely.
So in the class situation, I've walked into the class. Can we go 2 examples? So one, I've never done any form of stretch or recovery or anything.
Yep.
And one, I'm a dedicated class user and I quite know how to follow instruction and I like being in that.
Yeah, so you'll get into the class and it's a barefoot class. So so make sure you've done your pedicure. I do feet checks and I don't. But I should do feet checks. Anyway, I digress. So you'll grab your equipment, which obviously are your balls and your yoga straps, and then the instructor will take you through a kind of mobility warm-up. So basically making sure that everything is warm and you're ready to go. And then we start utilising the balls and we start from the feet.
Oh, why? Why do we start from feet?
So, because everything we do comes from the ground up. So we want to make sure that all of our little nerve endings and all of our feet are awake and ready to go. So we start with our little warm up with the balls, which is amazing and quite painful. I think you'll remember when you did, there were lots of squealing going on.
Yes, definitely.
But in a good way.
Definitely.
In a good way. And then from that, we then go on to sort of the first part of the session, which is more of a kind of like a yoga feel to it, but it's not a yoga session in that we're not talking about breath and it doesn't feel as if you're going into a specific holistic class. And again, I did that quite purposely, that I didn't want us to just have another sort of like yoga type class, because again, you know, I am a yoga instructor, as you know, and I love yoga, but that's not for everyone and not everyone feels comfortable in that space.
And that is like amazing that you're making a studio space kind of yoga related, but totally away from that, because it is a class. And I have done the class. I've been under your spell. It is a class where people are going to make different noises.
Yes,
because
they do.
Once you get those little trigger balls on a sore, tight little part of that muscle that makes you go, ah.
Yeah, it does sound a bit like a maternity ward sometimes.
It does. But we've got to, team, don't be embarrassed about it. Like,
oh my goodness, yeah. And I joke and I say we have a safe word, which is pineapple. But it is painful. It's you'll hit what I call a hot spot.
Okay, hotspot. Great way of describing them.
Yes. What I call a hotspot. And when you get those hotspots, it literally can take your breath away sometimes. But again, it's so important that we incorporate this kind of movement in our everyday life.
Yes.
So we have sort of like a little portion of the class which is a bit more kind of yoga-y feel to it, with in terms of stretching and lengthening. So we do a few sort of yoga poses in inverted commas, but you won't feel as if you're doing a yoga class, because we don't use any terminology that's kind of yoga related. So it is very accessible to everyone. And then we literally concentrate then on certain areas of the body. Each class is very different. I never teach the same class twice. I've been teaching this probably for almost 3 years now. And I never teach the same class twice. It's always a little bit different. And I listen to what people are saying, well, this is hurting today. And then we'll kind of work with what is in front of me.
Oh, it's like they've been prescribed to come and see you.
Exactly.
Can you talk to me about, so we're still in our half an hour class format. What you do, exercises, if people are notorious, we get tight quads because people are sitting down a lot. Our hips and
quads,
What type of moves do you do? What exercises do you do?
We do different kind of movements. We can do standing or lying down movements.
Okay.
So for quads, which is probably my worst one to do, I think, for me, I tend to get people lying on their tummies. Your face tells me that you remember doing this with me.
Yes, and I'm also just thinking, so then we've got our entire body weight going through this trigger point.
Either do one ball or two balls. If I'm feeling really mean, I do a ball under each thigh. It depends if I'm feeling a little bit slightly sadistic that day. And we put the ball right in the centre of, I call it the meaty part of the muscle, so right in the centre of the thigh. And then, as you say, we've got our body weight on it. So we're resting our hands on the floor, kind of like in a goal shape position.
Yep.
And then we're either going to extend the leg and bend the leg as if we're doing like a hamstring curl. So again, we're applying pressure. Is this bringing back?
Oh yes, I've just
PTSD's just kicked in
to a little bit of a pain locker.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're doing our muscle movement, but we've got the trigger ball on our hot spot.
Yeah.
And it's increasing each time we lift our leg off and back in.
Absolutely. So we can do sort of single leg movements, or perhaps we could do double leg movements. Or one of my personal favourites to release your quads is having both legs on the floor, pushing up through your hands. So you're pushing your whole body weight into your legs. That's really quite spicy.
And then are we rolling on the balls? Or are we literally holding for a certain amount of time?
Well, I get people to move on them. However, I do also say to them, if it does feel too painful, just to hold still on them. So if you're not used to releasing your muscles in this way, I say just to hold still on them, and they can literally just breathe and hold there.
And what's the science behind it? So we're holding it on that hotspot. Is that hotspot staying as warm? That's it, is it?
Yeah. So basically what we're doing from there is we're releasing the sort of the superficial fascia layer which is under the muscle. You've got different layers of fascia within your muscle. You've got your superficial and you've got your deeper fascia. So we're looking at releasing that superficial fascia. That's quite hard to say. Superficial fascia. So we're releasing that, and literally just by holding on it, you'll feel everything just kind of ooze away. I mean, it's one of those things that it's horrendous sometimes. I'm really selling this, aren't I?
Honestly, it's an incredible class.
It kind of feels horrendous sometimes when you're in it on the hotspots, but afterwards, you feel so great.
But that feeling is so relatable to people that train and then people that don't train, because if you're on a bike and we've set challenge to get to the top of the hill, the moment you're at the top of that hill and you're back down the other side, it's that. We've had Isaac on the podcast talking about his weights that he's lifted, and the moment he's done that 1 rep max and the euphoria he feels after it's been achieved, it is that euphoric feel that you've got a release in that muscle.
Absolutely.
Everything starts to relax. The systems are now starting to clear out our waste product, which
absolutely
pretty much there.
It really does, I think that's a really important point, actually, is that you are really clearing your whole lymphatic system. So it's important that people stay hydrated when they've been doing a Rejuvenate session, and that's something I think, because it's not a sweaty class, people think, I don't need to take any fluids with me, but actually because of that drainage, you really do need to make sure you stay
massively important. I'm going to move around various parts of the body, if that's okay.
Of course.
Derrieres, glutes, our bottoms.
Yes.
What am I doing for our bottoms in Rejuvenate?
Okay, so I can give you a couple of options. First option is sitting on the floor, 1 or 2 balls under the meaty part of your bottom, which for me is a large area, let me tell you. It's huge. Can take quite some time. Anyway, I digress. And then we're going to add our body weight to that by crossing a leg over the opposite knee.
Oh.
And then we're rotating in circles. We're moving side to side. We can add a little bit of side extension with the leg, all sorts with the glutes. So lots of fun and games.
So I'm definitely one, and I'm rolling out my glutes. I can nearly feel a pop.
It does feel like bubble wrap, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly what it feels like. Yeah.
So that's one of the sensations, and definitely, but it's so true. You can then feel the
yeah, literally, it's that kind of euphoria moment at the end of it. It just feels so nice.
I'm going to actually work up our posterior chain.
Oh, okay.
Let's go to our backs.
Oh, backs are my favourite, and it's so fun. Do you like doing backs?
Yes.
Okay.
Go.
So my class my class begging me to do backs. Every single class. So I like to do backs standing up.
Okay.
So we're standing against the wall or a flat surface, mirrors, whatever. 2 balls. And I basically work from the lumbar spine, so lower part of the spine, and I work all the way up the back. I love it. So we're going either side of the spinal column. Really key thing to remember is we're never going on the bone. It's always on the muscle.
So the trigger ball is never on our part of our skeletal system. It's on the muscles.
On the muscles at either side of it, yeah. So again, we're pushing our body weight against the wall, and we can take squats, we can take heel raises, and it literally feels as if someone's behind you giving you a massage. It's utterly my favourite.
It's a bit like that sports massage where they work up either side of your spine, but we're doing it ourselves. So
absolutely.
On that, is there like tips and advice? Because obviously our pain threshold is very unique to us.
Totally.
But some have a low pain threshold, some have a high pain threshold. How do we get around that? Is there certain feelings that you want to encourage?
Yeah, so I say that, I mean, I call it a hot spot, and I say, you might feel it a little bit tender, but I'm always saying to people, just if for you it feels that's it, that's my max, just hold still, don't move, just hold it. And I know it sounds weird, but it does feel a little bit easier the more you do it. It's kind of something that you kind of get accustomed to, your body feels accustomed to doing it and performing that kind of movement. So yeah, it's important.
On that note, I can definitely also, I get not extra hot spots, but I suppose my pain tolerance isn't as high the week before my period. Like it's really relative.
Yes, it really
is. And I notice that hormonal change the most when I'm actually doing a recovery.
Do you? Interesting.
Yeah. So that's just a little note to watch out for.
Oh, interesting. Very good. Well done.
Thanks. My pleasure. I'm going to keep working up the body.
Yeah.
Shoulders,
Shoulders.
neck. We know that we have quite a sedentary society, and a lot of people, not by fault of their own, just their job related, spend a lot of time sitting, but also with that slight hunch forward.
Yeah.
And a lot more people are now suffering neck and shoulder because of it.
I think you're right, because people are either hunched up driving, or they're over a laptop, and maybe if they're working from home, they haven't got a great work set up. Maybe they're over a breakfast bar or whatever, or they're looking at their phone. And again, they've got that hunch all the time. So shoulders is a beautiful one to do. Love shoulders.
How do we do shoulders?
Shoulders we can do lying down or standing up. I like to do it lying down. So again, I'm lying on the floor on my back, and I have my feet flat, my knees bent, and again, I'm taking 2 balls either side, so one right, one left.
Okay.
And literally just a motion just as simple as shrugging your shoulders and releasing can give that feeling as if someone's giving you a massage. It's the nice one to do. Shoulders is nice.
And is there anything for neck? Because people can sometimes get a bit precious about their neck and movements through neck. Is there anything people need to just watch out for, or what are your recommendations for neck?
I mean, if they're feeling it a little bit too much extension in their neck, they can also have a yoga block underneath their head just to give them a little bit more support.
Nice.
Or they can sit up and use the ball in their hand and actually physically roll the ball around them as well. So it's a nice one to do. I do that for hands as well, which is something that, again, we talk about people in the lifestyle that we've got, either gripping onto a steering wheel or over a laptop or on a phone. And again, we hold so much tension in our hands. Again, we can use the balls just to massage those as well, which is delightful.
And I guess that's also for like forearms,
biceps, triceps, all sorts of things. Yeah, you can go.
Now, when I did one of your classes, and I think it was top of my shoulders potentially, I had a ball up against, in fact, it might have been my lats. So
it was lats.
Top of my back.
Against a wall?
Against a wall, and my arm, just by purely lifting my arm up that wall, holy moly pudding pie.
Yeah.
Where did you get that bad boy from?
Well, you're welcome, first of all.
Thanks.
So, again, it's literally just playing around with how we can add a little bit of, not tension, but a little bit more pressure to the ball just by adding an extension of a limb. Maybe it's an arm, maybe it's a leg extension. So by using that extension up the wall, all we're doing is just, again, applying a little bit more body weight pressure, so it makes it feel really tender. And lats are spicy. Lats and IT bands make people cry.
And then I'm pretty sure you also got me to face the wall, and I was doing pectorals with it as well. And just you're using, I suppose, our natural movement.
You liked that one, didn't you?
Yeah, because I loved it. I'm like, whoa. I would say I spend a lot of time cycling.
Yeah.
So I am forward facing. So my triceps and my chest, I don't necessarily go off and I lift to do my chest, but I do when I'm doing my body weight classes, I do press ups in there. So I am very naughty in terms of I do not look after my triceps or my chest enough.
Joanna.
So when you got me doing that, I was like, oh, there it is.
There we go.
Oh. But I mean, I'm not somebody that spends a lot of time lifting a lot of weight through my chest. But if you just walk into a gym, there are a lot of people in there that love a bench press, that love dumbbell chest press.
Yeah, they love, exactly.
So, and just that one, we must have been on that hold for a minute maximum.
Yeah, not long.
And it's there, and just the tension release. But also, it massively improved my mobility.
It really does. It applies your whole range of movement, doesn't it? It's amazing what it does. Another really nice one to do is IT band. So the IT band runs at the outside from the top of the hip all the way down the outside of the thigh. Lovely to release, but really hard to stretch.
Yeah, well, it's not really designed to stretch. So it's not a stretchy part of our body. But it does, absolutely.
Oh my goodness
it takes
me.
a lot of tension because it's predominant in people that standing up or runners or do the same movement pattern.
Yeah, that repetitive movement, isn't it?
But we don't necessarily train all the muscles that go to support it. So like inside thighs, outside thighs, all of our quads. So our IT band can pick up a lot of that work.
Really does, yeah. So again, for that, we're sort of either standing against the wall to the side, which I think I did with you and possibly did.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Or we're lying on our side, which is brutal. So I kind of... what I do is I look at who's in front of me and I think, well, have they done this kind of movement before? Because sometimes it might feel a little bit less painful if we're standing against a wall rather than being on the floor, or vice versa. So it's really looking at who's in front of me to think, well, what's going to work best for them? And I do give people options. So if they feel something is too painful, maybe against a wall, I might give them the option to come down and do the same movement, but on the floor it'll feel different.
And you didn't even know I was going to ask you this question next.
Go on.
I think we've got like this little sixth sense going on. I was about to say, the beauty of Rejuvenate is you can take the structure of Rejuvenate and devise a class for like a specialist population.
Absolutely.
So Parkinson's.
I've done Parkinson's classes, so I did a totally seated class for them. And it was, again, I did lots of things like hand mobility and using the balls. So we still worked the whole body, but it was just done in a different body position. So we just had them seated. And so there wasn't lots of getting up and getting down. But again, giving them that mobility, they felt so much better after it. It was amazing.
And then in Forever Fit, so our classes aimed at our older member.
Yeah.
I guess you can change it. And again, you've mentioned staying seated to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can stay seated, or I can structure it so that they're not getting up and down off the floor if they're on the floor. Because some
Class
people
can be staying around the floor.
exactly totally can be staying on the floor.
And then I'm going to go opposite end of the spectrum, which I love is starting to appear in and on gym floor classes. And we'll talk a bit more about gym floor, but specifically for strength and conditioning, recovery from strength and conditioning.
Yeah, so the typical class is a 30-minute class, but I've also devised a 15-minute version of it, which is literally to bolt on the end of your gym session. So maybe that's a session that you've done on your own, or perhaps it's something you've done with a PT, and it literally is just a simple bolt on to and it's going to be very bespoke to what you've trained that day.
Yes, that's so clever. And also it's so important, and I love that this movement is now coming across and everybody's recognising the importance of it, is that you need those recovery days, those days when you're not lifting, those days when you're not hitting your cardio maxes. Your movement days, but your recovery days. So the fact that you've got a 15-minute to 20-minute session purely on recovery that you can just do on the gym floor.
So it's so accessible. And I think that's the great thing with it. And the balls are just... They're such a simple but great piece of kit. They're amazing.
Now, on those little balls,
yes,
I do understand that there is maybe different tension in those balls. And I've got a funny feeling you gave me the hardest ball. Is that right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, that means a yes. I can read that face. So are they? Are they softer balls?
They're really well. They're all very hard, but the ones that we use in Everyone Active there's 3 different variants of them. So there's a blue coloured one, which is the lighter ball. I'm saying lighter in inverted commas because they're all quite brutal. Then the lovely lime green one, which is kind of a medium denseness, but again, it's still hard. And then the grey one, which is possibly what I gave you.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, it was definitely grey. And you also spoke about earlier a yoga strap.
Yeah.
What are we doing with our yoga straps?
So, for example, yesterday in my Rejuvenate class, I was trying to get them some more mobility in their hips, because a couple of the ladies that came said they were feeling really tight in their hips, which again is really common with people who spend so much time sitting.
Yes, absolutely.
And in fact, 2 of the ladies actually are avid golfers. So again, tightness in their hips. So they said, please, can we do something for our hips? So I had them lying on their backs with the yoga straps. So we had the one trigger point ball underneath.
Hold up, we're using the ball and a yoga strap.
Yeah, because...
Wow.
So that strap just gives you a little bit more tension that you can maybe have a little bit more mobility. So again, it just adds something a little bit different to it.
And I guess it's kind of relatable to when we were talking about reformer earlier, is if you've got your foot in the yoga strap, you can physically move it a little bit more side to side.
Absolutely.
And that movement over the trigger point ball might make you feel a bit of that myofascial release in a different area.
Exactly that, yeah.
Oh, this is
so many things you can do with it.
Clever. So we've got small group personal training sessions happening on the gym floor. There are classes devised for specialist population classes.
Yep.
There are classes designed for high physical activity users.
Yes.
There are classes for anybody that's never done any form of recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the nice thing. What I'm seeing in Rejuvenate sessions is a whole spectrum of different people. So I am getting people that have just come because they've just done leg day and they just really want to kind of recover. And I've got people that have got mobility issues. So I've got a really, really broad spectrum of people, and I can tailor it for them individually.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I'm going to say special thank you to you, and team from Harpenden might or might not thank you. But we're starting to use Rejuvenate at the end of cycle class and just concentrate on feet.
Oh, feet is amazing, yeah.
Yeah, especially after, because you've been pushing and pulling through. And a lot of people pull tension in their feet, like they'll curl their toes.
Yeah, I bet they do.
And then when it's released afterwards, then they'll go off and do their continued stretch session. So, thanks from Team Harpenden.
You're welcome.
But if anybody wants to find out more, if there's a personal trainer or a group exercise instructor that's listening and they want to contact you or indeed their...
Yeah, there's trainings happening all the time. I'm up and down the country doing trainings with it. So yeah, just get in contact with me and I can give you the details, which is podcast@everyoneactive.com. That was swift. How swish was that then?
Yes.
Smooth.
You did it. So thank you.
No,
for
thank you.
implanting your knowledge.
Yes, but do go and try Rejuvenate, because it is, as I say, it's kind of that mindful movement, but it isn't a holistic. There's going to be no breath work, and you're not going to feel uncomfortable in that space and that you don't belong there. So please, I beg you to give it a try.
Yeah, absolutely. Team, thank you so much for listening, for tuning in, for watching us.
Yes, everything. And if you've got any questions, say get in touch with us at podcast@everyoneactive.com. Share the love. So like us, leave us some lovely comments, share the love with your friends.
And absolutely. Spread this message far and wide.
word.
And we will see you very soon, team. Take care.
Bye.